Hello, I'm going to read some more from the Talmud Jmmanuel, chapter 11. In praise of the Spirit and the knowledge, 27. But at this time, Jmmanuel began to speak. Praise, venerability be to the creation of the firmaments, the universe, and the earth, for giving the knowledge and the power of the Spirit consciousness to all human beings, and hiding it not from the unwise and the undiscerning who spread the confused teaching. Therefore, it will be revealed to them and also to sincere seekers at another time. 28. It is therefore good of the creation and of the Ishwish and his celestial sons as well, through whom misuse of might among the human species is warded off, prohibited by laws and recommendations. 29. And all things have now been given over to the human beings, and no one knows the secret of the creation, not even one human being, and therefore neither the Ishwish nor his retainers. 30. And all things have now been given over to me by the Ishwish, whose guardian angels taught me the laws and the knowledge of the natural and the knowledge of the nature and all law which proceeds from the creational natural laws. 31. So come to me, all of you who are seeking and thirsting for the knowledge and the truth. I will refresh you with the teaching of truth, which is the teaching of the prophets. 32. Take upon yourselves the yoke of the comprehending, learning of the new teaching, for it offers enlightenment, cognition, so within it you may find peace for your existence. 33. Because the yoke of the development of the spirit, consciousness-based development, is gentle, and its burden is light. Chapter 12. Regarding marriage and cohabitation. 1. And it came to pass that Jmmanuel began to speak about the laws and recommendations of the bond of connectedness between women and man, marriage, and related topics. 2. And he said, You have been given the law. You shall not break the bond of connectedness between man and woman. You shall not commit adultery. 3. Despite this, however, the human being commits the breach of the bond of connectedness, adultery, and fornication, thus violating the laws and recommendations of the bond of connectedness, marriage, between woman and man. 4. And it is written thus, Whosoever breaks the bond of connectedness, marriage, between woman and man, commits adultery, and commits fornication shall be punished, because the fallible are unworthy of the life in its laws and recommendations. Thus they shall be separated from men or women, separated to a place of fulfillment of guidelines, or jail, or put on an island, away from all women, men with men, women with women. 5. And Jmmanuel also spoke about the laws and recommendations of the bond, which are given as words of honor, promise, pledge, vow, obligation, bindingness, etc. Thus, it is an obligation, duty, that it becomes followed, becomes fulfilled, complied with. 6. But if the given word of honor is offended against, is contravened, there shall be a fit, appropriate prosecution, punishment, reprimand, damage, settlement, etc. For this, always measured in accordance with the disadvantages or suffering or losses, such as arise from the bond when it becomes broken. Explanation. And manum, emasculation, and Entweibung, defeminization, do not mean that which is understood by today's sense, so castration, etc. Rather, at the time of the true old prophets from the Nokodemean line, what was meant by these was solely a separation from the society in a banishment-based kind. And wise, in which case this could be for a certain shorter or longer period of time, or under circumstances lifelong. Entmannung, emasculation, in Entweibung, defeminization, simply meant that due to the separation, that is, through the banishment of the fallible ones, adulterers and whoring ones, no further opportunity was given to these to engage in sexual acts with the opposite sex, so with a woman or with a man. Consequently, at a place of fulfillment of guidelines, place of deportation, only same-sex homosexual acts were possible, if at all. This was from time immemorial a law which also determined that women and men each had to go separately to different places in banishment. Consequently, at one place of banishment, only women had to spend their term, and at another place, only men had to do so. The times are changing, and so naturally, also, the human beings and these, in turn, change their laws, recommendations, regulations, rules, and guidelines. There were, at very early times, still very drastic punishments for sexual perversion and infidelities, adultery, and prostitution, but these have changed greatly over time. This is because, on the one hand, the human being of earth has become unknowing with regard to the creational, natural laws and recommendations, but more liberal in his or her thoughts and actions, and has gotten very badly out of the control of the good human nature, and indeed quite especially with regard to his or her ethics and morality. At the same time, sexual behavior is a purely individual and private matter of the human being, into which nobody else has to interfere, and indeed not even the authorities and state powers, and also not religious fanatics, sect bosses, gurus, the Pope, or others. And whatever two human beings connected with one another do in terms of sexual behavior is solely their business, no matter what the nature of the whole thing is. If the rights as well as the thoughts and feelings and everything belonging together of both parties become respected and fulfilled. And in this sense, the sex life is also a form that belongs to evolution, for through this, the sexual behavior becomes not just an act of pure fulfillment of desire and of the procreation of offspring, but also a valuable act of effective evolutionary true love, wherein it then actually also finds its fulfillment in this manner. If now the sexual behavior is viewed in the form that arises in all degenerate ways, ranging from swinger clubs, one-night sex, to applied and used pornography, up to prostitution, rape, and child abuse, etc., then one can no longer speak of a normal sex life, but only of an uncontrolled and degenerate living out of wild sexual drives. In this wise, that which is related to sex holds no evolutionary sense whatsoever in itself anymore, but only deviant greed for sex and sexual lusts, which serve a pure fulfillment of sex drive. And the human being who follows this degenerate tendency and equally behaves in this respect, as once did the degenerated ones of Sodom and Gomorrah, thereby obstructs to him or herself, to himself or herself, every way of a noteworthy evolution. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Salome.